Hey, what's up, homies? Tonight's topic is 10 ways Dragon Ball breaks Shonen cliches. And well, Dragon Ball is one of the definitive Shonen anime of all time, but even the show that set the standards break order in unique and creative ways. There are plenty of iconic anime series that have practically become emblematic of the medium, but it's hard to engage in the proper discussion about the shonen genre without touching upon Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball. For more than 3 decades, Dragon Ball has pushed in its plucky action hero into increasingly impressive places. And in many ways, the series is one of the most satisfying representation of what shonen series have to offer. The only problem is that shonen series can run for decades and it becomes easy to fall into repetitive patterns or engage in certain stereotypes. Dragon Ball is no different in this respect, but the series also transgresses from shonen expectation in many ways too. Number 10. Characters grow older, and it's covered multiple decades. There are plenty of approaches that can be taken when it comes to the progression of time in long-running shonen series. It's often natural for time to move at a snail pace for the majority of the series, only for drastic time skips forward to help rejuvenate the formula. It's be all too easy for Dragon Ball to keep Goku as a precious child for its entirety, but the Shonen series gains great depth is by allowing High to not just grow into an adult, but have his own children who in turn grow older as well. Number 9. Its tone is lead character into an alien. Shonen characters experience drastic character development throughout the course of the series, but it's quite rare for the lead to basically turn into entirely different species. Goku is hardly a normal human child in the start of Dragon Ball, with his second grade ape transformation being significant red flags. However, it's no new to Dragon Ball Z that both Goku and the audience learn that he is not human, but actually a member of warrior alien race known as Science. This a huge change of pace and brings with it the introduction of aliens. Number 8. It begins its more humor-focused series. A defining characteristic of many shonen series in action is that priority and the most of the storytelling is in service of suspenseful showdowns between incredible forces. Action is present from the very first episode of Dragon Ball, but the early episodes are much more in service of comedy, and can often even feel like a more light-hearted gag series. The longer the Dragon Ball goes on, the more action dominates the comedy, but it still sneaks out every so often and reflects the show's original serious impulse. Number 7. Multiple sequel series creating multiple canons. It's not unusual for long-running shonen series to divide their story up into different series, often which have similar, yet slightly amended name, but they still carry on the narrative. As you know, the Naruto Shippuden exists in the same timeline as the original, and the same can be said for Sailor Moon. Its Dragon Ball separate series are a little more precarious to navigate through. Dragon Ball GT continues Dragon Ball Z story, but its timeline is now non-canonical due to the existence of Dragon Ball Super, and Super Dragon Ball Heroes is an even more vertically promotional entity. Number 6. The main character's eyes. Shonen series like to put lovable underdog front and center, where it's often normal to witness the hero's tremendous adversity and get beaten in battle. The feed is valuable ways to teach characters lessons to and to help them grow stronger. However, Dragon Ball goes one step further in this regard when it doesn't just allow central characters to die, but even its protagonist. Goku passes away on more than one occasion and takes back seat during stretches of time in the series. It's a major subversion of expectation and shows that Goku is beyond death. Number 5. It turns former villains into love interests. Shonen frequently present the force of good and evil as absolutes, but it's also a common trope for the hero's inner circle of allies to be made up from several forms foes who have since experienced redemption. In this sense, there are plenty of shonen series that will turn a villain into a hero, but Dragon Ball doesn't hold back and actually turn that old turning into a love interest. The audience learns about Vegeta and Bulma romance before they even have a chance to accept Vegeta as a reformed villain who will fight alongside Goku and company. Number 4. It plays with chronology in usual ways. Shonen series often have such evergreen fan bases that sometimes new installments in the series will happen years after the conclusion of the last one. That being said, these new characters then two later fictions and sequels, or at time prequels, that don't disrupt the existing event of the old series. Dragon Ball Super's approach is very unusual since the entirety of the series exists within the final time skip and the end of Dragon Ball Z. The end of Dragon Ball Z is technically a super version of these characters, which leads to inconsistencies. Number 3. It tries to change its main character. Goku will forever be Dragon Ball main characters, but the first half of the series features a very clear narrative trajectory where Gohan is meant to usurp his father and take up the responsibility of Earth Protector in his father's absence. Gohan potentially seized right from the start of Dragon Ball Z, culminating in his defeat of Cell and Goku pacing. For a brief period in Dragon Ball, Goku is out of the picture and the series follows Gohan exploits. Eventually, Dragon Ball regrets and ultimately brings Goku back in a big way. Number 2. Death is only temporary. The tubular which reigned in Dragon Ball have become a double-edged sword for the Shonen series. This also begins as a satisfying goal for the heroes to reach of their adventure, but the increasingly powerful abilities of Dragon Ball has led to a lot of tension vanishing from the series. And the Dragon Ball are able to bring characters back to life, which is resorted to repeatedly and almost become a foregone conclusion by the end of the series. Letting a hero die is enough of a shonen subversion, but constantly playing with resurrection is also highly atypical for the genre. The last, number 1. It begins on Earth and then heads to space in different universes. Well, any good shonen is able to create a rich world and show their characters covering a great deal of territory where the environments don't feel repetitive or unessential to the storytelling. Dragon Ball is set in a typical world, but it is still a shonen series that's terrestrial in nature. As Dragon Ball goes on, it decides to extend its adventure to new planets and spend a substantial amount of time off of Earth. Dragon Ball even begins to experiment with alternate universe and considerably bigger select. It feels real if Naruto or Luffy were suddenly fighting on Mars. And, well, that is all. Comment, comment in your video, comment in my video, and don't forget to subscribe and like, please. I see you in the next episode, guys. Goodbye.